on AFWERX, supported by Inspiralia. I would like to spare these couple of minutes just to see who I'm talking to, just to make sure who's actually registered and attended and what's your background. So while we're waiting for people to connect, I would like you to just answer those 3 simple questions. When your idea would actually reach the market, if you have direct contact with the Air Force, and if you ever applied before to the SBIR. So let's wait a bit just to make sure that we get the answer to these questions, so I can adjust the slides and then make sure that the idea comes across correctly. Okay, so as I see, quite a few of you have got already experience with the SBIR, so we're just going to go through quickly through the first slides where we're going to explain a bit more about the SBIR. A lot of you do not have contact with the Air Force directly, which is probably why you are here today. And there is a mix of answers on when the idea will actually reach the market. So just a bit of an intro on how this will work, and basically what the AFWERX is looking for technologies that are non-defense technology that could be applied to the Air Force needs. Okay, so just on that line, the time to reach the market will be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. So there is no right or wrong answer. It's just to understand what the need of the AFWERX would be and how you can accommodate it. Okay, so perfect. We have the answers of the questions. So variety of answers on the when the idea would reach the market. I would say 33% on each. All of you do not have contact with the Air Force, and all of you have participated to the SBIR before. So perfect. That's good enough for me. Let's start on the actual presentation. So, okay, slide number 2, goals of the webinar. To start with, I would like to thank you all for attending this webinar. I know that you're all busy and there is a lot of offer there of webinars, so thank you for sparing these 30 minutes of your time. I hope this is going to be of use. The goal of today is to really understand how to close $1 million with the AFWERX. Takeaway of this presentation, and something that is really there at glance for you to go back and look, is the points that you see below. So Air Force provides non-dilutive funds like the rest of the SBIR up to $1 million. The next available date to apply, it's February 10th, 2021. It's an 8-week process of writing that includes registration and actual writing of the application. And time to grant is 6 months. So in 6 months, you will actually be able to apply and actually obtaining the $1 million. So it's the fastest program within the SBIR. And you need to think of the Air Force as an ecosystem. I will just explain a bit more later on in the webinar. And key to this is memorandum of understanding. This is very important for you to really understand that this is important to secure your phase 2. Okay, just a couple of words on myself. I'm Luca. I've been working with Inspiralia for over 5 years. I've covered multiple job within the company, so from proposal writer, editor, and actually business development. My background, like a lot of my colleagues, it's engineering, so I'm an electronic and telecommunication engineering, and I work as team coordinator, as business partner manager. Okay, now SBIR, largest source of federal fundings for R&D, 3.7 million annual budget, takes zero equity, it's a grant, you don't have to pay it back, covers for direct and indirect costs, and allows you to really, the average project is 1.5 million. If there are any questions throughout the slides, please stop me. Or just write it on the Q&A, we could review it as they're coming along, and or later on towards the end. Validation process is what we usually do to make sure that the company is eligible. It needs to be US based, small business, physical address needs to be in place, principal investigator needs to be employed by the company, up to a third could be subcontracted, also on the AFWERX, and the R&D needs to be done on American soil. AFWERX is not different to any of the other SBIR, so works on phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. The amount and the use of the funds, it's different. We would see this in the later slide. So as you're all aware on how the SBIR is structured, no point to really spend a lot of time on this slide. Let's jump on the second one. And let's start talking about the AFWERX himself. What they're looking for is a prototype or kind of developed mature technology, which is on out there on the market on a non-defense area that could be used to fulfill their needs. Okay, so eligible companies are companies that do have a staff, they do have facilities, they do have time to invest in the idea, and the actual project needs to be a good idea with technical risk. Needs to be revolutionary or at least a full need, and needs to be focused within one of their focus area. 11 agencies are what participate in the SBIR. We concentrate in the Department of Defense today because we can actually see that the AFWERX belong to this agency. Very important, Department of Defense himself, as probably some of you have already applied to it, he's got the highest budget throughout the agencies. He's actually got 48% of the entire budget, and then it's subdivided between Navy, US Army, and AFWERX. It's a contract, and as you can see, it's actually in blue. Reason being is that you do a direct contact with Air Force stakeholder to obtain your project funded, where in the NIH, DoD, and the NSF, you would do grant application, which are much more linked to a scientific project. So with a higher risk of failure, where in the AFWERX himself is a much closer project to the market, so they're really useful for companies, and it's becoming very popular. Just yesterday, the Department of Energy has actually shared the AFWERX application, so that told companies to actually apply on this particular program. Now we are into the most important slide, or which this is what I think would be the most important slide of the AFWERX, is to tell you that the AFWERX is looking for innovative technologies with a commercial value in a non-defense sector that could be applied to the Air Force needs. Okay, just to expand on this, what we actually mean is that the AFWERX, the ecosystem of the AFWERX, is looking for a variety of technology which are described in their focus area that are needs for them. Okay, so basically we don't have to think about the AFWERX as aviation only or weapons technology that are related to your technology. So it could be very expanded to other area which could be of interest for yourself. Just to give you a practical example, we had a client that actually works in the textile industry. So the textile industry in its own, it doesn't really appeal to what it would be interest of the AFWERX, but instead their non-defense technology which was antibacterial technologies in certain fabrics, was of interest for the military use. So basically the military was actually looking to provide some clothing with antimicrobial fabric that have certain strength. In this case, basically, the company has applied to the phase 1, has adapted to the needs of the AFWERX, has won the phase 1, passed through the phase 2 because they were able to secure an MOU with the defense stakeholders. So that basically the person that the military base that was looking for that idea has actually fulfilled the need, signed the MOU with this company, went through the phase 2, and actually they were successful throughout the process of the phase 2. And this is a clear example where a non-military need a non-military technology is of need for the AFWERX. I will provide you later on with a few success stories that really explain this even further. Okay, so now we're looking at the bottom slide here, where I actually mark today. So today we are here to apply on the next available call, which, as we said before, it's on February 10th. The next deadline to apply to a phase 1. Okay, for this phase 1, you need to put together a budget of $50,000. You need to put together a team, you need to put together a documentation, you need to put together a pitch deck, and this is what you present on February 10th. Once you get the results from the AFWERX, which takes 6 to 8 weeks after the submission, you would be going to what it would be this part of the slide, the phase 1 execution, which is 3 months long. One thing for all of you that have applied to the SBIR before, that you need to understand that this phase 1 execution is fully related to the AFWERX project. You do not have to provide a prototype or work into what it would be a validation of your project, but it would be a direct validation of your project within the AFWERX. Okay, meaning that you have to provide a feasibility study of your project, of your potential project on the AFWERX need. You need to write the phase 2 work and the budget. And in this 3 months period, you need to really try and find a military base or a defense stakeholder that would sign an MOU for you. Why? Because in the phase 2 execution, you'll be partnering with them to actually execute all the prototype development. So the phase 2 is where, for companies, you get the funds. And the funds would go from 750,000 to $1 million. This keeps changing depending on the call, up to 1.5 million. The 1.5 in yellow is just because it's on matching funds. It's something that is not always applied to the AFWERX, but what does it mean? That in case you have some private investors that would like to apply on your idea, you can increase your funds up to 1.5 million. This works on a 1-to-1 scale or 1-to-2 scales, depending on how the AFWERX works. The duration of the phase 2 goes from 12 to 24 months. And the budget, the budget that usually is actually funded is 750,000–800,000. Okay, the phase 3 application has got no funds linked to it, but basically this really tells you that it's the military base himself that might ask you to do another phase with them, and in this case there would be the direct owner of that phase, so you'll be dealing directly with them. Okay, so one more thing, and actually I didn't mention, as part of the phase 1 execution, you also need to provide a video to the AFWERX that is actually submitted on the phase 2. If there are any questions, please just write them on the Q&A or on the chat, and then we're just going to go through afterwards. This slide is also very important, as I try and show you how it's different between the differences between an NSF or other agencies. So we're also talking about DoDs and how it's a much faster program. Okay, deadline coming up on the NSF would be on December 3rd. And as you can see, the top line that I've highlighted on the screen, sorry, would be 4 months. So we have 4 months for the evaluation plus 1 month due diligence. This is the time the NSF takes to provide you an answer. Then there are 2 months of contracting. So that means that your project execution, that usually lasts 1 year, roughly 1 year or less, would only start in July. As you were probably coming from an NSF project or a DoD, the amount that you can actually get from the NSF project goes up to 200,000 on the phase 1. It is important that you know that this execution, you need to provide documentation and actually a prototype to show that the achievement of the phase 1. In this slide, you don't really see 2022 because basically this is when you be applying to the phase 2, where in the AFWERX, the second part of the slide, you can see that the deadline is on February 10th. You have 2 months evaluation period plus 1 month contracting, meaning that you will start your execution in May. So we are roughly here. And this is the time that we said before, you have to write your phase 2, conduct all the feasibility study activity related to the AFWERX project, work on the MOU search. This is what they really want you to do in these months, and to provide a video. Once these 3 months have ended, you are eligible to apply to a phase 2. So from here, you can apply to your phase 2. And you actually need to apply during this period, and it doesn't fall within the deadline that I've actually marked here. Okay, so these are all the deadline that we have for 2021. For the phase 2, once you pass from the phase 1, which is, I would like to stress this fact, is probably the most complicated part to get funded. There is no reason why they'll actually not find you the phase 2. So you have 3 months to find your memorandum of understanding. If you do get your memorandum of understanding, you have 80% chances, roughly, this is what Inspiralia has as a company, to get this project across the line on the phase 2. But important is that in 6 months, you have $1 million to work in your project. So do not concentrate on the phase 1. Where you really need to think is actually the phase 2 that comes in August. Okay. Like I said, in the previous slide, you would see the next deadline available is February 10th. The next ones that are along the line is June 17 and October 22nd. The time to do the application is 6 weeks. And this is for companies that are not registered. In case you are already registered, what you need to do is to make sure that your registration is all in place, and you can get your project across. One more thing, the preparation of the writing aspect, it would be 4 weeks for the phase 1, and it goes up to 8 weeks or more for the phase 2, because of course it's much more complex to write a phase 2 versus the phase 1, where you need to come up with the entire budget. Okay? This slide shows the needs of the 20.3 call. Okay, so this is the 20.3 call. It's just passed. It was actually initially on the 22nd of October. It was moved to the 5th of November, so a couple of weeks ago. Results of this call are expected to come towards the late part of December. In this call in particular, Inspiralia has presented 81 projects. That means 81 different clients with ideas that would fit into this technical area. The slide is slightly blurry. I will send this across. But as you can see, there are different, and they are very generic. So you have aerospace technology, but within this technology area, you have turbine, you have power and thermal management, you have rocket propulsion, turbine engine. So the topic within this sector are very broad. Same things happen on the material and technology manufacturing. It is important to see that in this slide you also have human related technology, which includes rapid emergency medical devices and so on. So one thing that is important, that in the SVAR you can apply to multiple agencies at the same time, meaning that you can apply to the NIH for what it would concern the clinical trials, and at the same time prototyping of your device and link it to what it would be a need for the AFWERX. Okay, so there are 8 topics which are highlighted in red, plus and the 9th one, which is called Blue Sky, meaning that you can apply with any other technology if your technology does not fulfill in any of the above. It's quite open, so it's a bottom-up approach, because you can apply to any of the topic, but in case it does not fulfill or it does not fall into any of these categories, you can also go for topic number 9. Okay, so I will share all these needs. Please note that new slide would be relieved. This is how the project life cycle would work. Concept idea, just to make sure it's a good project, is going to go from phase. So validation process is basically where we're going to be today. So we would like to know if your project is actually a good fit for the AFWERX, meaning that we will try and see if it falls under the previous categories that I actually showed you before. Once this is done, the process of the validation would start. It would go through a kickoff meeting. A draft of the proposal will be delivered after the kickoff meeting, and then the review will be done with a client, just to make sure the content of the slide is correct and you have a proposal that could be successfully presented to the AFWERX. For what concerns Inspiralia, the team that we put together for a single phase 1, for a single project, it's composed from an account manager, which will be the primary point of contact, especially during the negotiation of the project, the validation of the project, a senior innovation consultant that really coordinates between the client, in this case, and the proposal writer. The same person provide guidance supervision on the submission process. We advise you on the budget to make sure you can maximize the chances of your success and obviously be reasonable while getting the budget across. We provide guidance overall, the brainstorming with you if necessary, so we adapt, and a scientific writer. Like most of us in the company that are all engineers, we will put together an experienced writer that really has got the same knowledge as you, or at least understands exactly the project, so really works out in the best way for you to write the project, and would write on the draft until it's got a advanced draft, so you can share it and work on it. And the project management office would be all the admin areas. So register the application in case you are new to the SBIR, or actually put together a team that really works and on during the submission, pre-submission and post-award submission during the phase 2, because of course you need to make sure that you provide everything to the application while you've done the application. So some success stories. I've selected these 3, and just to show you, let's start with eye therapy. It's just to show you that we're not really looking for defense-related project. Okay, eye therapy, for example, it's a software-based speech-generating communication system. So as you would actually understand, it's not directly linked to the AFWERX. And this in particular, we were able to secure 3 grants. Like I said before, it's NIH on a clinical trial, AFWERX on the adaptation that we've actually done on the needs of the AFWERX or Department of Defense, and NSF on the more scientific part. On the slides afterwards, there is a video. This is what we would produce, the kind of video that you need to produce to present to the AFWERX that can actually be used for yourself afterwards. Pathways, it's another project that was successful in the AFWERX, phase 1 and phase 2, all of these phase 1 and phase 2. It's a natural empowerment system. Also this one, as you can see, is not directly linked to what it would be a defense project, but with the necessary tweaks and fulfilling the needs, this becomes of interest from the Air Force. And also here you have posted a video. Then on Green Magic Homes, it's a semi-permanent modular structure that was actually provided to the AFWERX first. He won the phase 1 and phase 2. He won the phase 1 on the NSF, and this is actually a phase 3. The same agency has actually asked us, when he's asked Green Magic Home, to provide a project for them, and this has got a different amount that you can actually allocate to it. So in this case, as you can see, you can maximize the chances of success. Okay, so few words about Inspiralia, who we are. We are based in Miami. It's a group that comes from Europe, Madrid, 25 of us based in Miami, where the group instead is 155. So we're known for winning R&D grants for small businesses, and this is in all kind of sector. It could be scientific sector, medical sector, ICT, advanced materials. So we are good at this because we have a deep technical background, so we understand the project, because all of us are engineers, like myself, or the rest of us, they've got PhDs, and we be able to secure to client over 500 million throughout. We work in a hybrid fee model, mainly based on performances. So basically, if we do not win, we do not go and get the success. So this is it for what it concerns the presentation. I'll be